one of the best ways that we can start to understand the threat and begin to mitigate it is really working together. No individual company, no individual government, no individual industry understands it fully. It's really this sort of cooperation that takes place across the businesses, where people learn to share things, and that's a very scary thing to do. It sounds simple, but information sharing is perhaps our strongest defense in that space. Public-private partnerships are also foundational. This is where government, industry, and academia come together to talk about solutions and explore things. They're very powerful. They're also very fragile because they're built on trust. And we have to get used to using new mechanisms to try to build a better understanding of cybersecurity risk and, more importantly, resilience. How do we get to a point where we build a culture that is a culture that's ready, a culture that's responsive, and one that can also sort of reinvent itself or learn in the face of threats? Because we're going to have failures in cybersecurity. You're not going to prevent them. And so the more we can learn to absorb shocks, learn from them, and move on as a community, the better off we'll be.
Yeah, Paul is so right. In order to embrace the evolution of cybersecurity threats, there is a shift we have to make in the way we address security. Very often, the large majority of organizations, the large majority of governments still believe that their job is to protect at the perimeter against any form of security attack. That has some value, but this is no longer accurate. The right approach is to try to build a resilient infrastructure. It's to assume breach. It's to assume that the bad guys will succeed. So let's not focus only in protecting ourselves against the bad guys. Let's admit that they will succeed. And let's look at making sure that whenever they succeed, the impact to us, to the organization, to the citizen is minimized. Let's make sure that we don't see a domino effect whereby the bad guys attack one machine, one computer, and then turn off all the computers in your data center. We've got to avoid that. Let's make sure that the fact that they disrupt some business line will not disrupt the entire organization. Let's make sure that they cannot access and destroy some information critical to the organization. Let's make sure that this information is replicated and equally protected. So there is a shift in the way we approach security that needs to be understood. And along with that shift, sharing, collecting more intelligence, being able to work together, public-private partnership, this is the right approach.